All right, to the comeback of the night in the NBA. Thunder coming off blowing a 24-point lead in the fourth at home on Monday, but they have put that in the rearview mirror. Here's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in traffic to the rim. The Thunder are down by 8, and it's about to be 10. Cam Johnson on the blow-by, the scoop on the score. It's a 10-point lead. Zaire Williams will catch from Killian Hayes, corner three, bottoms. Thunder give up 70 in the first half for the first time this season. But you give 48 in the league. And in the early fourth, OKC is down 4. Jalen Williams in the lane hits that 2-point game. 8 minutes left on the push. Case and Wallace off glass. We're tied at 103. Just over 7 to go. Wallace, give me that, and now you get to decide how much you want to show out. Bench mob is loving it. This is a connected group, as we know. Everybody seems to genuinely enjoy each other's company and pull for each other. There goes Williams down the lane, scoop, 3 the hard way, and the Thunder erase the deficit and get yet another win. It's win number 47 on the year. Some context now in the best in the West. Trailed by 15 Wednesday. They're now 4-1 after they trailed by double digits at halftime this year. Best in the NBA. Every other team is at least multiple games under 500 in that scenario. They're led by the MVP favorite, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, on pace to average 30 points on 50% shooting for the third consecutive season. The only guard to do that in NBA history is a fella by the name of Michael Jordan, who did it 5 consecutive seasons. Add it all up, the Thunder outscoring the opposition by more than a dozen a game, which is the third best mark to this point of a season in the history of the NBA. Only the Bucks back in 71-72, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the Warriors from 16-17 on the way to a championship had better figures through 58 games. What is it that they do that you like best and makes them the threat that they are to potentially have a title-winning team?
It's the best defensive team I've seen in the league. Their connection to each other and their overall team speed and the way they can flip a switch if they have a moment in time, and Mark Dagnall can challenge them. He can coach them a certain way. They come out of timeouts in a way unlike any other team in this league and what they're about to do to you for the next 6 minutes, and just pressure all over the floor, funneling you to places where you are never hung out to dry. Their ability to help and recover back to the three-point line is the best in the league. You know, we always see the post-game interviews. You know they're a connected group. They got great chemistry. They love their coach. That's half the battle in the NBA. But they've got balance. They've got depth. The thing I love about them, a lot of these guys that defend are not just out there to defend and then they're a liability in offense. These guys are going getting you buckets on the other end of the floor. Guys like Case and Wallace, Isaiah Joe, one of the highest-rated individual defenders in the league, shooting 40% from the three. Aaron Wiggins, who's on another role right now. He's on a heater for a month that gives them another 15 to 20-point scorer. I just like their depth, their balance, but mostly it's that speed defensively and how dialed in they are to the details of what it takes to shut teams down.
I think this is something you and I talked about last year. I want to say Chet Holmgren had like his uniform retired in Minnesota or something, and the entire team walks into the gym. And I just am interested, you played for a bunch of teams as you're trying to find a forever home in the league, right? Sure. How unusual is it for a group to seemingly enjoy one another's company and time together as much as they seem to? Extremely,
and I don't know that I've seen it quite at the level that they take it to, and none of it is just for show or optics. It's genuinely kind of how they feel, and I think it's a real reflection on their best player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wants the inclusion of everybody. It's always about us and the collective, isn't it? Despite what he's doing every night.
Yeah, right? He's the MVP.
Yeah, most likely, front runner right now. It's just, they're fun to watch. It's awesome. People got on the other night, oh, are they vulnerable? They lost a 20-point lead. Well, they were up 20. They took their foot off the gas against a good team that kept playing.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Cade Cunningham, Jason Tatum, and everyone else who plays on these teams shouldn't just show superstars and act like they're it, but there's Tatum with the three. Yeah, the guy kind of got off. A little shove. It's fine. Asar Thompson. Oh, locked him up on defense. Give it up. The kick forward. Malik Beasley. You got to give the people what they want. That's what Jalen Rose says. Detroit up 9 after the first dozen minutes. Celtics down 11. Drew Holiday. Derek White catches midair, beats the shot clock. That's ridiculous. We're all square at 55, heading to the break. In the third, Tatum held the finish, misses. Cunningham in transition. That's one on a lot. All right, I like my odds. Pistons up 8, 7-point game. Cunningham again, mid-range. He had 21 and 11. Detroit carrying a double-digit lead into the fourth. Can they get another win to the finish line? Again, suffocating defense. Wide open look. Beasley has given you a lot of that in his minutes. A 3. Did I say a lot of that? How about 3 more? 6 of 11 from 3. Beasley had 26. And Jalen Duren, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes to 8. How about a 20-point win over the reigning champions from Boston? Just take note of it. They won 8. The first 6 were all against teams under 500, right? That's always about context and perspective. These last 2, though, have come against a top 6 in the West Clippers team, and now the reigning NBA champions, and 6 of the 8 have come by double digits. We sat here last June and said, we hope that we lost this man to call games, and guess what? We did, but we're just as happy to have him back in studio. Tim Legler with us. We've been giving these Pistons their flowers, man. They've earned it, and you're going to go touchscreen on Detroit? If I'd have told you you're going to do that last spring, you might not have come back.
This was a team last year, Scott, that was in SportsCenter only to see if they kept the losing streak going.
Right.
They'd be the top story.
Right.
Because it got so big. It was a difficult year for everybody. A lot of talent, made some changes there.
What are they doing?
I love watching this team play. They do a lot of things differently than teams in this league, and here's one of the things they do. This is pretty constant. They love getting up the floor and just wreaking havoc. They gave Boston fits with their pressure in this game. And it just wears on you over the course of the game. You see a little reach right there? They love this. They've got a lot of athletes. They're constantly poking around at the basketball. Now, he doesn't get this one. But take a look at what he does do. So we end up taking the basketball up the sideline here. You avoid that pressure. I'm just going to circle around. I'm going to meet you right back here. And I want you to watch the next action that's going to take place and the pressure at half court. Because this all wears on teams over the course of the game. Now, this is supposed to just be very simple, innocuous dribble handoff. I'm coming here, you come get it, go to the other side. Well, it gets blown up because you just don't see teams at 40 feet trying to blow up this dribble handoff, which is exactly what happens. You get a deflection, ball's on the floor. But even here, like Peyton Pritchard has this basketball. It's his. He's going to recover it. Look at the effort right here. Watch, dive in on the floor, get a piece of it, kick it loose, go the other way. And of course, Scott, a 3-on-1's a 3-point shot in the league. That's what you get.
But that's all want to and effort. You just don't see that much in the league.
That's all it is. And now I want to talk about this guy, Cade Cunningham, and just his size, presence, command of the offense, what he does. He's special, and he's having that kind of year. And this is pretty good on the perimeter, about as good as it gets in this league. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum. You got 3 guys out here, any one of which can lock guys down. But you can see right here, Cade Cunningham knows he's got a side because Peyton Pritchard cannot leave Malik Beasley. In fact, they're probably talking about who's going to be 6th man of the year over there in the corner, having a conversation. So that means Cade Cunningham, take this dribble handoff, get downhill, and watch. Best part of this is at the end of it. As he starts to go, he can make every pass on the floor. He sees the weak side here.
Yep.
Take a look at Derek White. He's already sprinting because he knows it's coming. Now, here's why I want to point this out. This is Ron Holland. Ron Holland shoots 24% from the three-point line. So Ron Holland is not going to take the shot that Boston wants him to take. And that's what I love about this team. They repeatedly do this. They don't take a ton of threes. They turn down one to go get what you are good at. And they've got a lot of athletes that do that. And tonight, they dominated them in every way they can. The Pistons, top 10 in the league in second chance points, top 10 in the league in points off turnovers, second in the league in fast break points. All of that stuff was on display tonight against the Boston Celtics. They were shorthanded. Didn't matter. This isn't about who was playing, who wasn't, how the Celtics played. Let's give the Pistons their love tonight because this was, we thought, a test. How real are you?
Sure.
Well, they showed you. 20-point win at home against Boston.
I said, look, I gotta be honest. The dude makes a 60-footer. I don't care who he beats, even if it's my team. This is pretty filthy. Oh, my God, Shaedon Sharpe. He had 36. These count for just 2. But the man's eyeballs are at the rim. And coming out to the league, everyone knew he was bouncy. But, man, you do that in-game? My word. Blazers get an 8-point dub. Sharpe had 36. New York dropped back-to-back games to Cleveland and Boston, hosting Philadelphia on Wednesday. Paul George, numbers not great this year. Made an announcement recently on his podcast, Steve. Good help.
I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship.
And compete for a championship. Stop the pod. All right. Knicks leading by a dozen after the first. Mikal Bridges had 19 in the first. Knicks leading big. Precious Achiuwa. Karl Anthony Towns watching from the bench on this night as the Knicks lead big. There's Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks lead by a lot. But here comes Philly. Journey of a million miles begins with a single step. Perhaps the comeback and the push towards the playoffs and championship starts tonight. Bucket there, 4-point game. On the other end, Kelly Oubre Jr. And then there's George alone in the corner for the three. What do we have here? It's a 1-point game. Sixers trail by one. Off the miss, ends up in the hands of Oubre Jr. Give me all three of these, and Philly has the lead. Next Sixers possession. Tyrese Maxey had a 30-point night. There are two of them. Sixers lead by 4. Knicks have got to work hard to avoid squandering this big lead. Brunson loses the ball briefly, but then lays it in. We're tied, and then it's Brunson. Pulls and rattles home a big-time three. It's a 3-point lead. Next Sixers possession. George, who had 25, 8 boards, 7 assists, also had 7 turnovers. That was a big one there. Brunson goes for 34 and 7 assists. And the Knicks hang on to win this one. Spike and the Knicks fans happy as they're 18 over 500. Take a look at the Western Conference. Top 6 teams in action Wednesday. Already saw the Thunder. As for the Rockets and the Clippers, Jalen Green and the Rockets taking on the Spurs. Green is the Rockets' leading career scorer. Career best 43% from the field, 36 from 3. Jumper there is good. And then a step back 3, actually a hop back 3, if you will. 20-7 early lead. Leading by 13. Amen Thompson gets to the rim. Houston played from ahead, really unchallenged most of the night. Steven Adams, great play to jump up and kind of spike it like a volleyball on the jump, and Green gathers and flushes. It's a 21.7 board night for him. Alperon Şengün, Thompson, 3 of his 25, and Houston wins easily by a dozen. Clips trying to avoid slipping into the play-in tournament. They're taking on Chicago. There goes Kobe White. In the business, it's known as a shot sheet. I don't have this one, so we're going to have to guess at home along with me. What do we have here? That looks like James Harden in the corner. That's a 3, and that puts the Clippers ahead by 1. Harden, my man James Harden got a beard like a billy goat. He hits another 3. Well, this is going to be an easy one to do without a shot sheet because it's just James Harden making 3 after 3. To the 4th, another 3. No. Float game.
On point.
Rattles around and drops. The lead is 5. And there's White with a reverse. Down to a 3-point game. It's winning time. Harden, clean look. He knew it. Right off his fingertips. Clips get the win by 5. About to be March, which means then it'll be April, which means then it will be playoff time. Hawks and Heat 7th and 8th in the East as we speak. Heat down early, 12-9. A lot of ball game left. Tie ball game. Tyler Hero, 3 for 3 beyond the arc early. 5-point game, float game. That's a 3-pointer of the different variety. 3 the hard way. We're tied at 65 at the half. Late third, Heat up 5. Off the miss, shooter. Oh, Dunk had time to take a look, take the dribble, get the steps just right. How about 6 triples for Robinson? He had 24. Hero on the drive. The kick to Mitchell. Mitchell hits the three. 5 of 5 from 3 in this game. Davion Mitchell. Heat up a lot and now more. Hero again. 23 threes in the game. Not all threes, though. That's only worth 2, but it's a fun bucket, isn't it? That's Bam Adebayo, who finishes with 20 as the Heat get the dub by 22. Pacers sitting comfortably at 4 in the East. They're hosting the Raptors on Wednesday. Of course, last spring was quite a run for Indiana. Here off the miss, the rebound comes out, and that's a very lengthy 3 from Tyrese Halliburton. Pushes the lead to 5. Then Halliburton in his bag tonight. Sure. 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. Pacers had a 10-point lead heading to the third. Halliburton. Thomas Bryant, sure. I'm nude at the line. Everyone's pulling from deep. Halliburton, again. It's the modern game. Why would you run to the bucket when you could run backwards and you get 3 for it? Tim Legler just sitting here smiling, thinking I was born about 20 years too late. Nah, it worked out all right for you. You did your thing back in the day, and this is Turner, Miles Turner, doing it from 3. He was 5 of 5 from 3. Pacers back up 17. Woo, woo, woo! Outlet, Halliburton. How about 33 and 11 and a 20-point victory? Tim Legler back. Man, we miss having you here and these double runs in these segments and a chance to just explore a little further your assessment of where the league is right now. You love OKC. We talked about them early. I understand why. You and I were talking upstairs about me watching on Sunday. Cleveland, then OKC. Is Cleveland a team that you feel as strongly about in the East as you do about OKC? In other words, this is a finals team right here.
Absolutely. And honestly, if this is OKC, Cleveland's right here, and Boston. I think Cleveland is looking Boston dead in the eye. Not going to be surprised to see the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. It comes down to the emergence of Evan Mobley. He's a different player. His aggressiveness, his confidence, the way he anticipates being open. He wants to come out there and do damage. Ty Jerome, what a find to get a guy this impactful off your bench at the guard spot.
I always thought he'd be an impact guy in the league, and he's just found his spot.
Sometimes it takes a while.
Yep.
You get to that right coach, right system, and it unlocks your confidence. That's clearly been the case with him. And then DeAndre Hunter. It's one of the most understated signings, personnel acquisitions in the league this year, and they got him specifically for those 2 forwards in Boston to help guard them and then shoot 40% from the 3. So Cleveland, no question, is to me on par with Boston. It's those 2 teams, though, and then some good teams in the East that aren't on that level.
All right. Now, in the West, it's easy to look just behind OKC at the standings. And then it's also pretty intriguing, maybe intoxicating. It's like the icing, right?
For sure.
You drop your eyes a little lower and you see superstar teams that land big-time players. Did the trade deadline, in your estimation, reshuffle the deck in terms of who you think the threats are out West?
Recalibrated everything for me. I mean, Oklahoma City, we know how I feel about them.
Yep.
The other 3 teams that were sort of occupying those spots, Memphis, Houston, Denver, I don't think any of those teams have done enough to convince us that they're the team that's going to be last man standing against Oklahoma City. So you were wondering what was going to happen at the deadline. Well, we see what happened. You got obviously what's going on with the Lakers now, and their defense has done a complete 180 over the last month. Luka, who knows what that could end up being with LeBron. That looks pretty good early.
Yep.
So they're potentially a conference finalist. They might end up with the 2 seed in the Western Conference. We know also what's going on with the Dallas Mavericks. We got to wait and see what exactly AD looks like, but they're going to be a factor. And then, of course, you got the Golden State Warriors.
What do you think of them?
For me now, I have a much more of a believability factor in them. And it's look, we talk about Jimmy Butler and the toughness and the edge and all that. Great. And he gets to the line. Great. There's another thing he does that has surprised me. He's basically an isolation player. He's a mid-range isolation player that fits in with their continuity. He doesn't disrupt that because he's so smart. He's got great IQ for the game. He knows where to flash to the open spot in that offense and where the ball is supposed to go next. But the main thing is when they run out onto the court, they believe now at a higher level because they have a guy that you know is going to show up on both ends, particularly at this time of the year. So I view them completely differently than I did before they acquired Jimmy Butler.
I understand that. My only hesitation in what you're saying is that you're not dismissing Denver,
but
they didn't add anything. But who they've been before they've shown it can be enough, and they got one of the best players, maybe many nights, the best player in the world. So where are you with them?
Best player in the world. Jamal Murray's playing great, almost like bubble-like Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
I look at their overall depth. I look at Aaron Gordon. He doesn't seem to be quite the same or have quite the same impact. And Michael Porter Jr. is still, I think, too inconsistent for my liking this deep into his run. So, yes, of the teams I mentioned, Houston, Memphis, and Denver, I like Denver the most, mainly because of the Jokic factor.
Right.
What I'm saying to you is none of those teams firmly cemented themselves as clearly the top challenger to OKC. It left the door open to see if some other teams could reinvent themselves, and 3 of them did in the Western Conference that are going to make this stretch run unbelievably interesting.
All right, well, we still have a chunk of time, but man, unbelievably interesting. That seems like the headline that will certainly be atop the West when we get to the playoff time. Tim Legler, great to have you back in here.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate you. Travel well. Continue doing great work out there on the road. All right, so you take a look at the odds to win a title, and Leg said Thunder and Cavs, yes, but you see those reigning champs from Boston, they still have a very healthy respect out in the desert, understandably so, but a lot of intrigue as we move closer towards the playoffs.